evaluation we're doing in the classroom so that we can see what the impact is. Because in the long run, we are trying to help the teachers because they're teachers, because it's the students that are the ultimate audience.
All right, so how do you evaluate them in the classroom? 1, 2 persons sit, and are these objective persons, or are they persons that have a vested interest in the program?
So there are many different ways to do evaluation. Some is just by having an unobtrusive observer in the classroom, but one of the aspects we're really excited about is actually having the teacher trained to have their students use science journals or science notebooks, where it's not, when I was in school, we had a science notebook in chemistry class, and we wrote down the experiment and what worked and what didn't. But these are also journals for reflection, where the students can ask questions, and you can actually look at these journals over the course of a semester or a year and come up with sort of standardized measurements or metrics, and you can actually judge whether or not students are getting a deeper grasp. You can also use the journals as a simple way and look how many times a week there are science entries in the journal.
Okay, so at the beginning of the program, you ask the teachers questions. Do you ask the students questions?
We will. I mean, I'm hesitating on that answer because, as I said, the program has just started, and right now we're focusing more on the teachers.
Yes.
Ultimately, if I could just add one other thing, because what we learned is students at that age, you can't ask them questions and have them understand what we mean by a baseline. They get really upset if they don't know the answer, and you can tell them it's okay. But so we do more unobtrusive.
My pedagogical experience tells me you're right. It doesn't pay to ask the children at this time. If we ask the grown-ups, the teachers, that is a reflection on what the kids know, and so it's just a waste of time. And I agree, no use getting the children upset. So you do a survey at the beginning of the when the teachers start, and then later you also ask them questions?
We do, and some of them we repeat the same questions. This program is not just about helping the teachers know more science facts and concepts. It's also trying to help empower or strengthen or improve or change their attitudes and behaviors, getting them more comfortable with science. And also, because this is the Institute on Science and Sustainability, it's got that major focus on what can they do to be more sustainable, what can they do to help their students understand sustainability, and yet always circling back to the science. So it's not just enough to say you should recycle this or you should turn off the lights, but why? What's the science behind that?
Okay, and I like the idea about having the children write a journal. I mean, what better way to get knowledge to sink in than to have somebody actually do something, put it on paper. I also like the idea of taking a look at the journals and seeing how much activity is in it and seeing how their minds are developing. So I like that a lot.
Good.
So, and would I be correct to say, again, since you said you want to your organization wants to have an impact nationwide, at some point you're going to take all of the experience and all of the data, all of the observations, write it up, and then you're going to go maybe to the California Department of Education or other large groups, drive it across all of California, or maybe even have
we have bigger dreams than that.
Bigger.
We are very interested in how this can be a national model. And one of the things we know is that you have to ground truth it. You have to be able to show this isn't just some theoretical idea that we came up with. But we are working very closely with the San Francisco Unified School District and some other schools in the San Francisco area. And if we can have empirical data through these evaluation efforts that say, yes, these teachers have increased the amount of time that they're doing science, that it's a better quality science experience for the students, and eventually the students' test scores are going up on the standardized tests. Then, whether it's the California Department of Education or the universities and their schools of education, as we publish papers and present at conferences, people start sitting up and paying attention.
All right, I'm paying attention, and I like your goal, and I like that you want to drive this across the country. And I want to encourage you. You can call on me. You know, I have, you know, little television. I have some other resources. I would be glad to apply those resources.
Oh, that would be fabulous.
To try to help you move this across the country. And now, I know you brought me a present, some toys.
I brought some toys for us to play with.
Are these your toys?
These
my
are
toys,
some of
maybe.
my toys. And so let me just briefly explain. This group of teachers, they're adults, but yet they are teachers of young people, grades 3 through 5. And so one of the lessons that the education staff have learned is in training them, you have to treat them as adults. We're not saying, see Jane, run. You know, but at the same time, the lessons are put in the context of the classroom. And so what I'd like to do with you is have you become a caterpillar for a moment, and you get your caterpillar card.
Do I put this around?
You can put that around your neck, and I'm going to be the atmosphere for the moment, and I'm just going to hold this other one up for the tree. Now, today you can't listen to the news and not hear something about the carbon cycle, or more usually carbon footprints. And so people tend to know now, and even third graders know, it would be a good thing to decrease our carbon footprint, but they don't really understand what that means. And so we have a series of lessons and working with the teachers in our institute where first we help them understand what carbon is. You know, it is an atom, and it's found in living things, it's found in the air, it's found in the water, it's found in rocks. And so once they get that concept, then we do this carbon cycle game. So I'm now going to give you 2 ping pong balls, but right now they've been transformed. They're not ping pong balls, they're carbon atoms.
That's
so
the
each
C.
one has a C on it for the carbon atom.
I have 2 carbon atoms.
And because you're a caterpillar, you have a lot of carbon in your body. Where did that carbon come from?
From eating bushes and trees, leaves.
Right. So if I'm the tree right now, because I'm hiding my atmosphere one, so I'm the tree. When you come by and munch on some of my leaves, I give you carbon.
Okay.
Now, you're a living, breathing animal, though. So every time you breathe out, what are you putting into the air?
Carbon.
Carbon dioxide. And so now I'm going to be the atmosphere. So you have to give me back some of those carbon.
2?
2, yeah, because you've just run a race and you're breathing hard.
All right.
So this is the game, and since it's just you and me, we don't have the full suite of compartments in the environment. But in a classroom, some children would be caterpillars, some would be the air, so, you know, the atmosphere, some would be the soil. We also have water, and the game starts off very controlled, where the teacher is directing, okay, you're the caterpillar, you just breathed out, give some of your carbon to the air. Once they understand that natural cycle, then you can let them go a little more freeform and let them decide who they're giving their carbon to. And then you stop and start discussing with them, well, do humans do anything that impact? And they've heard about, you know, burning fossil fuels. And so then all of a sudden you can start putting the human impact in. And instead of having a fairly balanced pathway for these carbon atoms, you start seeing, whoever the atmosphere is, that they need a basket, because when the fossil fuels are burned, we put so much carbon dioxide into the air. And then, of course, once it's in the air, it gets into the water. And once it's in the water, the person who's the marine snail will be impacted, because as you change the water balance, you change the ability of snails to make their shells.
So if we had other students here, other children, you might have a basket, and we'd